Assalamu alaikum. This podcast has been brought to you by SeekersGuidance, the global Islamic seminary. Help us spread the light of prophetic guidance to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Make a small donation at SeekersGuidance.org/donate. As little as $10 a month can help people find life-changing guidance.
Is the definition of yateem, orphan, limited to only people whose parents are dead, or does it include people whose parents have abandoned them?
So yateem itself, orphan, refers to one who's lost one or both parents, right? But an abandoned child is like an orphan, right? In that a child who's orphaned needs a guardian. Right? They need a kafil, someone who will take on their guardianship and raise them because they don't have their parents. A child who's been abandoned may have biological parents, but such a child is also in need of guardians. Because if the parents have abandoned the child, with or without reason, there can be some cases where the child was abandoned for a reason. Someone is having mental health issues. They had a child, and due to stress or due to other factors, they now have mental health issues. There may be a legitimate reason why someone gave up their children, right? And one should not judge someone who gave up their children because you don't know the circumstances they had the child in some parts of the world. After cases like rape and other things, there's so much social stigma. They may be fearing for their life. So they abandon a child due to that. So we should not be hasty to judge, but rather we have to be hasty in taking responsibility. That if there's a child that's abandoned, for example, that the guardianship of a child who is orphaned or abandoned is of the greatest things that a believer can do. The Prophet ﷺ, the one who takes care of an orphan, will be like this with me in paradise. And the Prophet ﷺ brought two of his fingers very close together. And the adab with that hadith is not to raise one's fingers and point in that way. Because the Prophet ﷺ, we don't have a narration of the Prophet ﷺ of how he pointed. And that's the caution in narrating hadiths. But there's tremendous reward in kafalatul yateem, in guardianship of a child. And one of the great, the lack of knowledge is so harmful, and superficial study of Quran and Sunnah can be so damaging, because yes, there's a difference between the guardian being regarded as the actual parent of the child, right, which is not accepted in the Sharia, but that is not to say that we do not believe in the importance of taking care of orphans, of adopting an orphan, right? And the adoption that is recognized in the Sharia is an adoption of guardianship, which is, for example, in many countries, including Canada, that's the default. That if someone adopts a child who was left abandoned by their parents, or given up by their parents, the default is that that's considered a guardianship arrangement. And the default is that the child is encouraged, that they encourage that the child be made aware of their biological parents, and the means be taken for them to be able to gradually reconnect with their biological parents too. So they have two sets of parents, their biological parents and their guardian parents. And this is something that there's great ignorance of in the Muslim community. It's a fard kifaya, communal obligation to take care of orphaned Muslim children. And not just orphaned Muslim children, other children who are orphaned. Right? We should be, this is one of the qualities that the Prophet ﷺ most strongly encouraged. Right? Taking care of widows, taking care of orphans, right, are two of the greatest of spiritual works. So that's something that we should strive to excel in as a community. Right? We should be taking on so many children, adopting so many children, and taking such good care of them that you say, well, you should send those children to the Muslims because they take good care of them. Yeah? I have a friend who I'm proud to call a friend in another Western country. They took on temporary guardianship of some little girls, because their mother had a very rough life. And subhanAllah, the mother, then they said, she's suffering from some really grave crises. She got better, and they said, well, now the children can return to the mother. So the mother, the actual biological mother, said, no, I'm so impressed by the way these guys are raising them. Can they continue to raise them? I'll be part of their life. And the kids loved the guardian parents, who'd only considered, they only agreed to take them on for a couple of years. And later, when the girls were like 7 and 8 or whatever, the mother requested that, can you please teach them about Islam? Because I want them to be like you are. Please, because I don't want them to suffer as I have in life. Okay? And they never imposed anything. They said, we'll respect, like your wishes. Say no, but involve them in whatever you're doing. And said the mother really was, but they didn't take her to, they just taking care of the worldly upbringing of the child and just, broad values and so on. But the children were so impressed, and then the mother said, no, follow that way. And this is something that we should take very, very seriously.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was brought to you by Seekers Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Visit SeekersGuidance.org to access reliable Islamic knowledge taught by qualified teachers. We offer a wide range of courses, podcasts, articles, and a world-class answer service. Support us in spreading free, reliable Islamic knowledge to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Visit SeekersGuidance.org/donate and make a small monthly commitment today. Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever guides someone to goodness will have a similar reward." So don't forget to share this podcast and spread prophetic guidance.